Bienvenidos a Esperanza donde la esperanza vence. Welcome to Esperanza where hope wins. Well, you know what, that Mercury retrograde had me doing these oracle cards on a separate playlist. You know what? No, thank you. Let me just put timestamps here. Let's just do it all right here, right on our Quick Hits Tarot. Why don't we? Today, we got 2 crown chakra affirmations, one after the next. One says yoga poses. To open the crown chakra, meditative poses are useful to release tension. These include lotus, half lotus, savasana, and tree pose. Ooh, I love me some tree pose. And then the other one says crown chakra affirmations. I always trust and follow my intuition. Well, here we go. We're playing with the Chakra Cards Tarot deck, Chakra Cards Oracle and Tarot de Maria Celia. Here are our oracle cards to get us warmed up for our messages for today. This is like, if you've been here before, you know when I get a jumper, it flavors our reading. Usually a Quick Hits Tarot is going to be 3 cards, near past, present tense, near future, but that's all pretty much like what's on the menu for today. What's today's special? And then there's larger overarching archetypal themes that we're working with. Those usually come through as major arcana cards, and you could hit the playlists on my homepage of my YouTube channel, Esperanza Tarot, and on youtube.com here, and you will see that I have playlists about major arcana, minor arcana, how to read a 10-card Celtic cross on the new moons, and sometimes on the full moon too. I will run a 10-card Celtic cross live stream. And I also live stream with my buddies, other astrologers or intuitives, and see what energies we're picking up on the new moon, on the full moon. You can check those playlists if you'd like to catch a live stream with us and contribute, and let us know in the chat, how these energies are reflecting in your day-to-day. Right? Oh, and also in the comments here. And if you'd like to book a personal session, you know what to do. Hit the links. These are our flavors for today. 24th of July, 2026. Since we got those jumpers, I'm going to pray and play over these, because these I've been shuffling both decks for a really long time already before I pushed record here. Okay, 24th of July, 2026, near past, present tense, near future. Let's see what we're working with. Thanks for fine-tuning your free will and intuition with me. Oh my gosh, so we got the Knight of Pentacles reversed again, but then this time we also got the Le Pape, the Hierophant, reversed. And then we got the Queen of Cups reversed, all reversed cards, all stuff that we could work on. So the message is getting stalled or reviewed, or there could be somebody in our lives who was stubborn and now they're opening up a little bit to new ways of being. I love a Knight of Pentacles character because they're stable, they're sturdy, they clock in, they clock out, they do things day by day in a very dependable way. But the only caveat with a Knight of Pentacles usually is that they can get stuck in their ways. They can get stuck in a rut. You think about tilling soil, you think about plowing fields, you make a rut. And you can get stuck in a rut really easily if you don't, or mowing your lawn, you want to mow the stripes, right? Well, some people mow circles, but I'm a little bit of both. It depends on the venue if I'm gonna mow stripes or circles. Tell me in the comments, how do you mow? When you mow around your trees, do you mow around it and then do the stripes? Or tell me how you mow. What's really satisfying too is right here on YouTube, you can watch videos of guys mowing stripes, and those are really satisfying if you're into that type of grass. So the Knight of Pentacles reversed could mean that he's getting a little bit more creative, that he's getting a little bit more, open in his ways, but he also reversed might not be as methodical. He might not be as dependable. Knight of Pentacles reversed can be in a stall or an indication of a stalling effect when it has to do with the seeds that we're planting in terms of finance. With the Hierophant reverse, we're working with energy that would ask us to be unconventional, not the norm, going outside the boundaries, coloring outside the lines, understanding that like there are hierarchical structures that need to be turned around. Sometimes people that do things the way things that have always been done, or sometimes people that get stuck in patterns of behavior, like you could be in your 40s, 50s, 60s, right? And the same people who thought that they could tease you some kind of way, when you get back in that dynamic, be it with friends, family, people you grew up with, Mercury retrograde and Mercury just went direct actually today. And I'm recording this the day before. So Mercury stationing can really inflame or exacerbate any type of those topics. Thoughts and feelings coming up from the past, especially from our home base or people that we grew up with or people in our neighborhood that have always done things a certain kind of way, or that you had to go through these levels of hierarchy to get to, a certain level of respect in these dynamics. Institutionally too, because the Hierophant has to do with out there in society, churches, chapels, even temples, like Masonic temples, having to go through these different degrees or levels to get to get the Hierophant hierarchy, right? This is called Le Pape, the Pope in this deck, but that's the Hierophant reversed to those of us who are used to saying it like that. So the Queen of Cups reverse is, again, kind of similar to yesterday when we had the Ace of Cups reverse and there was just like this sort of overflow of emotional energy. So she can indicate somebody who is sort of overflowing emotionally. She's a little bit much for the people around her to be able to sustain that level of exchange. Either or, she could be extreme in the other direction where her cup is so closed, her cup is so empty, she's so exhausted, she's so, like her resources have been so stripped that she doesn't have a lot left to give emotionally at this time. Like somebody that you used to, like kind of like the Knight of Pentacles, where you could usually depend on them to show up every day to foot the bill if anybody didn't pick up the tab. This person might need a little bit more support in our lives. If it's a person, it could be a youthful Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn person, or somebody that is usually able to stay in the vibe of what is current and what is going on financially. This person needs a little bit of our support right now. And then with the Queen of Cups reverse, this is somebody who could, again, be a little bit overly emotional, emotionally manipulative, somebody who acts like, oh, hey, sweetie, oh, hey, this and hey, that, but they might be having an underhanded sort of transactional vibe to their emotional exchanges, for example. Or this could be somebody who acts really sweet, or that there's some sort of disconnect between the way that they interact emotionally and the truth of what really is. So since all three cards are inverted in our reading today, I would invite us all to work on this energy within ourselves. So how could that come through? With the Knight of Pentacles reverse, plant new seeds. If you're doing a second planting in your garden right now, why don't you try a variety that that you didn't use the last time? If the last time you used the green Mizuna, maybe do a mix of green and purple. I'm pulling from my life because that's what we did yesterday. But hit my other YouTube channel for farming videos and garden videos. They're pretty fun. How we could work on this energy internally in our personal lives. Hierophant reversed. Why don't you click on a religious prayer from a different perspective? Like, for example, like if you're used to saying prayers in Latin, or if you're used to saying like Catholic prayers or Christian prayers, or if you're used to saying prayers over your food, say prayers over your water, or say prayers in the shower, or, do something a little bit different using the tradition that you already have, but put a little twist on it. That could be a way to exercise this energy in your own personal life or internally, right? Queen of Cups reversed. Okay. So we usually react to emotional situations in a very patterned way. What's something that we can be curious about instead of being triggered by? Like if we feel our body, or if we feel our hackles come up, or if we feel our hair stand up on end and not in a good way, what is just something a little bit different that we could sort of chew on instead of allowing ourselves, like what is that little breath that we could take in between being triggered and reacting and being triggered and responding? What are those little choices that we can make to sort of turn around the way that we emotionally react towards things? And those reactions can be very internal, but it can really affect the way that our nervous system, it regulates itself. So yeah, that's what we have for our Quick Hits Tarot for today, Friday, Venus's Day. If you would like a personalized session, you know what to do. And please stay tuned. We're going to talk about the astrology of today, right meow. Okay, so Neptune and Pluto and the exact sextile between, like, what do I idealize for myself? What are some ways in which I'm cloudy about my own behavior, and how can my personal empowerment come from taking feedback in the zeitgeist? Like, how is the vibes of my life? How are my associations? How are the things that are happening in my 11th house reflecting back inside to me? Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. How is that being internalized in my personal day-to-day experience? Aries, what are the beginning seeds that I'm planting as far as how I want to idealize the way that I tune up? Remember, I always say that Neptune is the tuning fork for my life. It's what brings me to higher love, right? It's what brings me to higher compassion. It's what brings me to a higher understanding of spirit and where I fit in to that realm as an individual. But with Neptune retrograding in Aries, the sign of me, the sign of the baby, the sign of just starting out in the spring, just sprouting up before you become a strongly rooted individual, individualized energy, Martian energy, Neptune ruling over our North Node in Pisces, which just so happens to be directly opposite of Regulus. So our Piscean nature, our higher consciousness, our will to have care for and compassion for smaller and larger themes in life that need our protection. You know, big God and little God need our praise, our interaction. You know, they talk a lot about divine intercession, but a lot of times we intercede for the divine too. Like, we have to show up when it's time to do our job too, right? So with Neptune, that tuning fork and retrograde in the individualized sign of Aries, also trining, okay, Jupiter and the moon today. Our feelings are very optimistic with that moon in Sagittarius, trining Jupiter. Jupiter, of course, being the natural ruler of Sagittarius. So Jupiter, the moon is in Jupiter's house, right? Jupiter is in the sun's house. The sun is at home, pretty much saying, welcome here, Jupiter. Listen, if you are amplifying, I'm gonna if you are the stereo sound system, then I'm gonna be the spotlight. Okay, working together to bring that harmony to the party vibe, the optimistic, the brotherly, the shoot for the stars vibe, okay, of Sagittarius. But Sagittarius is also, as far as fire goes, you know, it can switch it up if it needs to, you know, whatever keeps the party lit. So like sometimes people are like, they really get into the groove of like whatever music that they like, but sometimes in order to keep the entire party going, you got to switch it up a little bit. Like, it's not always just about what you and your generation or your compadres are about. Like, sometimes in order to keep the party lit, you have to have a good mix. And so with the moon in Sagittarius, we are uplifted, we are optimistic, but we are also willing to pivot if and when necessary, especially as the moon crosses over in Taurus and then into the part of fortune later on. So Mars and Venus, Mars in Gemini and Venus in Virgo are still working off of that square dance. And then Mars is in an opposition to Black Moon Lilith and the part of fortune in this chart. And then also those are squaring off with Venus. So we do have a lot of tension, and like as we're trying to get the party started emotionally, as we're feeling emotionally optimistic and willing to vibe and willing to hope for the best of things, we are still reaching a lot of tension, and the tension all points to Venus and Virgo, to where she is like the housekeeper, the nursemaid, the beauty, the Cinderella, right? That is not getting the Leo recognition, right? That she feels that she may deserve at the party, with the moon in Sagittarius making the awesome trine to the sun and Jupiter. With Venus and Virgo, that is going unrecognized, right? Okay, so at least she is in a direct sextile with Mercury in the Cancerian zodiac, just now stationed, right? So that's a powerful amplification of that communication of gentleness. Okay, as we describe in this mercurial way, where we feel blocked, Saturn and Aries, where our personality feels blocked, where our individualized rights to be who we are naturally is feeling blocked, we may be able to communicate that with greater ease here. Even though Mercury is sextiling Venus, you know, we do have that square to Mars and Black Moon Lilith. So the square to Mars and Black Moon Lilith could be people in our lives too. Like, is there a masculine character in our life? And could there be a Black Moon Lilith, kind of like a wily feminine character who is just bad vibes, and they're both like shooting their energy towards Venus? Venus, who is just trying to be like, you know, financially comfortable, yet beautiful. Like, she has a right to do her acts of service towards herself. But Mars and Black Moon Lilith might be like cock-blocking that event for her, or as she tries to care for herself and not just care for others or be service of others, or maybe her acts of service go unseen by them, and then they feel some kind of way. So those are all examples of how this energy could play out. But to know how specifically these transits are working with your natal chart compass of your life, why don't you talk to me one-on-one, 2-on-2, or something like this, and we will see, you know, how we can fine-tune our free will and intuition together. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye.